Hi everyone, welcome to the Enthusiastic Buddhist. In today's video, I want to look at 4 things we should consider when buying a Buddha statue. It seems that Buddha statues are becoming quite popular in mainstream society. I mean, there are so many garden centres and so many budget shops that are selling Buddha statues these days, from selling just the Buddha's head to his whole body and in various seated positions. So how do we know when we buy one, if we're buying one that is, I guess, appropriate and traditional? One of the first things we need to establish is whether the Buddha statue is actually representing the historical Buddha, Buddha Shakyamuni, or someone else. You've probably seen, especially in many Chinese stores, the statues of a very fat Buddha who is always laughing and looking so joyful. He might be holding a bag, some coins, or playing with some children. Well, for some people it might be a surprise to know that this statue is not actually Shakyamuni Buddha. These statues are actually of Mindah-Lee, who was a very popular Chinese monk who was well known for his kindness and generous nature. Apparently, before he died, it's said that he revealed himself to be an incarnation of Maitreya, the future Buddha. So he's also revered as Maitreya to many. And many of us are probably familiar with the idea that if you rub his belly, it will bring you good luck and prosperity. Well, that's actually a popular belief in folklore, but you won't find that written in any of the Buddhist sutras. And also in Japan, I might mention, he's considered one of the seven lucky gods of fortune. So to distinguish between the statues of Mindah-Lee and the historical Shakyamuni Buddha, you'll find that Mindah-Lee is in various forms, such as with his arms lifted up or in sitting in a very relaxed position. You can basically tell it's Mindah-Lee just by his laughing expression. But one sure way to tell the difference between Mindah-Lee and Shakyamuni Buddha is that Mindah-Lee always has a bald head, whereas Shakyamuni Buddha has curly hair. And also the Buddha usually has a very calm, peaceful, smiling expression rather than a laughing one. And his body is usually very slender and graceful, except in rare cases where his body might be emaciated and almost skeleton-like, which symbolises the time he tried practicing asceticism for 6 years before he became enlightened. But you won't normally find that statue in most shops in the West. Another thing you'll want to consider is the various postures you can buy the Buddha statues in. There are many different hand gestures which are called mudras, which the Buddha might use as an expression of different activities, such as teaching or giving refuge. But traditionally, the most popular Buddha statues that are used for one's personal shrine or at a large Buddhist temple are the ones where he's seen seated in meditation posture or in earth-touching posture, where his left hand is in meditation posture on his lap and the right hand is touching the ground. The earth-touching posture is deeply symbolic because it's the mudra he used just before he became enlightened. So generally, if we're interested in deepening our spiritual practice in Buddhism, then the 2 postures we should look at buying a Buddha statue in is either the meditation posture or the earth-touching posture. Now, in certain Buddhist schools, there are also other Buddhas, such as Medicine Buddha, the Buddha of Compassion, Amitabha, who is the Buddha of Boundless Light, and they can also look a lot like Shakyamuni Buddha. Especially Amitabha Buddha, who also sits in meditation posture, but the main difference between him and Shakyamuni Buddha is that Amitabha holds a bowl in his hands when he's in meditation, while Shakyamuni Buddha won't hold a bowl in meditation, but he often holds a bowl in earth-touching posture. So basically, if you have your heart set on buying a statue of Shakyamuni Buddha, then the safest bet is to get one in earth touching posture, because that is a posture specific to him. But if you get one in meditation posture, find one where he's not holding a bowl, because that could possibly be Amitabha Buddha instead. But at the end of the day, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a statue of Amitabha Buddha or any other Buddha. I mean, many practitioners might have a completely different Buddha or deity as their central statue for their shrine, depending on the school they practice in or because of their own affinity with a particular Buddha. Now, I titled this section Head, Shoulders, Knees and Toes because when we're buying a Buddha statue, it really is best to buy one that shows the complete body. I know a lot of people like to buy the big Buddha heads and put them as ornaments in their house or their garden, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking for a statue for your own personal shrine and practice, then it's recommended that you purchase a statue that has the whole body, not just the head or the hand or something. The body posture has really strong symbolism and conveys a very powerful message every time we cast our eyes on it. It reminds us of the power of meditation as well as our own spiritual potential if we really embody the Buddha's teachings. And don't worry too much about the size of the Buddha statue that you buy. Even just a small one is great to start with. Then in time you might want to buy a bigger one. And in terms of materials, it's often seen as a good thing to buy statues that are made of higher quality material like metal and with the face painted gold, because it's said that using one's wealth towards a holy object is seen as a spiritual sacrifice of sorts and a good way of practicing generosity. But I have to admit that even though I have a couple of nice statues of other Buddhas that are of higher quality, this Shakyamuni Buddha statue behind me is actually only made of wood. And I bought it for like $20 at a discount store. It was actually advertised as one of those tea light Buddhas because you're meant to put a little tea light candle in his bowl and light it. Now, obviously, I didn't spend a fortune on this Buddha, but I really like it. And I really think at the end of the day, it's more about your personal feeling towards a statue that's more important. How much it brings you peace and joy, and how much it inspires you to practice, which are perhaps more important than getting the right type of materials or paying such and such price for it. But that is just my personal opinion. It's important to first think about where you're going to place the Buddha statue even before you buy it, because that will probably determine what size you buy it at. Generally, we shouldn't place Buddha statues in areas like our bathroom or bedroom if we can avoid it, and our kitchen. We really should try to find a nice clean area for it to sit, preferably where it won't get covered by anything. If we are setting up a shrine, it's good to have the Buddha at eye level when we're practicing, or even higher. So either have it on a table or sitting on a shelf. But at the very least, we shouldn't have it sitting directly on the floor. It's good to place something between the statue and the ground so that it's at least raised off the ground. And this is something we do simply as a matter of respect to the image. And if we're intending to place the statue outside in our garden, then maybe we can look at collecting some stones and earth to create some small raised platform for the Buddha to be seated on. The last thing we should consider once we've bought the Buddha statue, especially if we're serious about using it as an aid for our practice, is to see if we can have the statue blessed somewhere. Every Buddhist school from Theravada to Vajrayana place a lot of importance on having Buddha statues blessed for them to become effective tools for our practice. Now, if you happen to purchase a Buddha statue made of metal, often the base of it is removable and it will be hollow inside. These statues are designed to be filled with precious substances such as mantras, relics, precious stones and sandalwood before being blessed. If you have a Buddhist centre nearby, you might be able to ask them to fill it for you and bless it. If you're lucky, you might be able to find someone available to do this. But if your Buddha statue is made of wood or stone or something not hollow, in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition at least, you can just stick a double vajra to the bottom and have it blessed, which is considered an acceptable minimum. I was actually quite surprised to read up on the lengths that Theravada Buddhists go to when it comes to consecrating a new Buddha statue. They will usually hold an overnight vigil of meditation and chanting Buddhist sutras. And just like the Tibetan tradition, they will tie this special thread from the most experienced practitioners to the Buddha statue as a way of like transferring their own blessings and realizations into the image to enliven and empower it. I think the ceremony probably differs from one Buddhist school to another, but there are definitely similarities. They usually call the ceremony the opening of the eyes ceremony because while the consecration is being performed, the eyes and the face of the Buddha image will remain covered until a time when the ceremony has been completed and the statue is now said to be like alive. So I hope this information has been interesting and useful, and it helps to guide some of you who haven't yet purchased a statue for your practice. Just remember that as long as you do everything with good motivation, you shouldn't worry about doing something wrong. And don't let it put you off buying a Buddha statue because you're thinking, oh my goodness, how can I get it blessed or something like that. Just buy it and see what eventuates from there. If you're wondering where you can buy Buddha statues from, as I said, it could be as easy as popping down to your local department store, garden centre or discount store. But I'll also put some links on my blog to some nice Buddha statues that you can check out if you're interested in buying one online. So that's all from me. Remember to subscribe, like and share, and to check out more posts and videos on Buddhism and meditation on my website enthusiasticbuddhist.com. So take care everyone, have a great week, and I hope to see you in the next video.